It's 3:15, and that means it's time for
The Real Deal with Bill McNeil.
That's right. Welcome once again to The Real Deal with Bill McNeil. I'm your host, Bill McNeil, and you're probably wondering exactly what is the real deal today.
Hey, good question.
Welcome back to Thick and Critical. This is Wes. We have breaking news. We knew that James Tynion's time on Batman was ending in November, and now we know who the next writer is going to be. It's going to be Joshua Williamson, who I think, in my opinion, is probably the safe choice. And here to talk with me about that is the man, or one of the critics behind BatmanNews.com, Joshua Williamson. How you doing?
Well, I'm Josh McDonald.
McDonald.
Look, Williamson's definitely on the brain.
Absolutely.
This literally just came through in a tweet, and I texted you right away, and I was like, "Oh crap!" I do think it's the safe choice. We've talked about this before. For DC, I think safe choice is probably the best choice at the moment. Joshua Williamson writing Batman, number 118, coming this December.
So he's got 3 tweets. We'll talk about them individually. Obviously, they were one after the other, so it's one long message, but we'll break them down into parts. First up, Batman 118 in December. I'm writing Batman. As Batman leaves Gotham, I'm starting a new storyline called Abyss, drawn by the awesome Jorge Molina. Not talking about this was driving me nuts. Excited to finally share Jorge Molina's number 18 cover with you. The Oval is back. Very exciting stuff. A little bit disappointed that that we're not getting Jorge Jimenez, but he has said that he's staying on Batman. I imagine this is somewhat temporary. And there is a good chance that Joshua Williamson on Batman is temporary. We know that Tynion originally was supposed to be in there for like maybe 8 months, but the sales went up so much that he ended up getting the permanent gig.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was supposed to be just a fill-in to get to 100 and then relaunch, and then his book did well enough that Tynion got to stay on and kind of really got to shape the Batman universe coming out of Future State. And, we as far as Williamson taking over, we've discussed or speculated, I should say, that whoever comes on will probably have a short term and then go from there. Again, anything could happen. If he comes in and continues to sell gangbusters, they might have him stick around. As we've discussed before previously, there's a crisis event coming. It could just be leading up to that, and then they'll have another plan. There's a lot up in the air. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm disappointed that Jimenez isn't here. He did say he was sticking around, so I don't know if there's plans for after this or if there's changes, or maybe it's something else that we'll get to in the third tweet.
Absolutely. And we know that Batman is leaving Gotham at the end of Fear State. Not something we haven't seen before. I don't think it's really something that's got me all hot and bothered, to be completely honest. But we are moving into a new story arc called Abyss from Joshua Williamson. It is weird that Tynion is doing this big Fear State event with this, big status quo change of Bruce Wayne exiting Gotham, and kind of just leaving it out to the next writer.
I think Tynion's going to have to do what he needs to do to, further his career or set himself up in a way that he needs to. So I can't knock him for that.
You can knock DC Comics for not planning better, for giving this guy an event that, ends essentially when his contract is up.
Yep. If I were DC, and this happened, and I saw that Tynion was the rising star, I would have been throwing everything I could at him, or been trying to match in some way maybe what Substack is giving him. Because, they created a golden goose, and now they're losing it. They set him up to kind of take the reins, and he took the reins, and he got a good deal and is passing the reins off. So, at least they have momentum on DC side, and we'll see if Joshua Williamson can continue it.
The good thing about Joshua Williamson is he had a very good long-standing Flash arc that I thought was excellent. I thought his current Robin story, which you're going to hear about after this when we actually have This Week in Batman, which we already recorded, unfortunately, is, my opinion, the best ongoing at DC Comics. But, Infinite Frontier just isn't really doing it for me. And there's a couple others that aren't really, don't stand out as great. But Williamson is certainly capable of doing very high-level work.
Definitely. From my stance, Williamson's been very hit or miss. Some of the stuff that I've enjoyed the most from him are his Bat titles. So I am looking forward to seeing what he can do. Do I think he's the best technical writer? No. Do I think he's a good storyteller? Yeah, he's a good storyteller, especially if you can give him a long form story. He's good at kind of building out a solid, strong arc that can run for many issues. So if they need him for a quick, let's get through next 6 or 12 issues, and then we'll call it a day. He's good for it. If they decide they want to keep it going, I think he can deliver. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm not upset with the decision. I will take it and run with it. There could be worse options for taking over this book.
Absolutely. So the second tweet he puts out, we're honoring the plan that the other books in the Bat line are doing while telling a brand new story for Bruce Wayne as Batman in the DCU. Check out the new villain called Abyss on the Batman 119 cover for January. 118 is their first appearance, and this is another cover by Jorge Molina. And as you can see, it looks like some type of sci-fi Grim Reaper.
Yeah. It kind of has like a couple of elements of like the Court of the Owls in there, plus the like a Reaper type aspect, almost like Mask of the Phantasm type. There's a couple of different elements that are in here. It looks cool though, and you're gonna get that speculation bump with a new character coming in, especially with the start of a new run and a new writer. So it's gonna sell well, at least out of the gate. We'll have to see what happens after. And he teased that he would give us more info about the run and the character as we lead up to it, and as we kind of get through Fear State. So I'm intrigued.
He's got your attention?
He's got my attention. I mean, I'm willing to give it a shot. There's nothing here that's going to make me like not want to read it. And as far as honoring what's been set up by Tynan, it makes sense. Like Tynan's had his hands in the Bat universe overall. You've got a lot of threads that are connected. So if you just shut it down and go a completely different direction, I think it would be a disservice at this point, especially again with the crisis looming within the next year.
And if all the other Bat books are going a certain direction and they're somewhat, interweaved, it would be weird for this book to all of a sudden turn right where everyone else is turning left.
Correct.
You got to kind of go with the flow until you figure out what's going on. And as you've mentioned a couple times, there is this crisis that's going to come up in the next year, which is likely another shocker status quo change for the entire DC universe.
Shocking. No, what I do want to say is I actually applaud Williamson for coming out and saying he's going to respect what's come before, because I think a lot of times that's our argument with writers, is that they don't respect what has come before. And even though this is a recent story that's just now, unfolding, the fact that he's coming in saying, I'm going to respect what has been laid before me, I think is just the right thing to do as a writer when you're taking on a brand like Batman or Superman or Wonder Woman, whatever it may be. This is kind of how they need to approach it. And I think this is where you can see where writers are good or potentially not good, is how they can take what's pre-existing and kind of reshape it, but still respect it.
And this is the final tweet, the final part of the three-part thread. More Batman news and info to come as we get closer to the end of Fear State and number 118 in December. And I have other big announcements coming soon that aren't ready yet. The end of 2021 and 2022 are going to be very busy and a wild ride, but for now, a tease. Interesting, we do have Batman and Robin. Are they going to finally get back together as the end of Robin comes together? Is he going to be going with him on this quest or this journey, outside of Gotham? He does have a full plate. We know that I think it's Ascender is wrapping up with Dust to Win, but he does have Robin. He's got this Justice League Incarnate that's coming up. He's obviously the Batman writer, which is going to be, twice monthly. So that's essentially 2 more gigs lined up right there. He's got a couple other projects, so he is absolutely going to be earning his paycheck as he, we wind down the year. Although these are already written likely.
Oh yeah, I would say viewers are gonna catch a piece of this when we discuss Robin, but I would almost say there's a good chance Robin might be a limited series based on what he's teasing here. And then I think it's pretty clear he's teasing a Batman and Robin book, so we'll have to see. Any of the smaller titles that he's working on at DC, if they want him to focus on Batman, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw them pull him from those titles and put somebody else on, because they're going to want to prioritize their flagship book because it brings in the money for them.
Absolutely. And we know that we're also getting a limited run by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen on Robin and Batman. It's not going to be tied in this. It's like almost Robin and Batman and Robin year 1. Do you think this has anything to do with the fact that Dustin Nguyen and Joshua Williamson obviously are closely tied together and they've worked on Descender and Ascender together? You think he was able to pull him in for the project like that?
I don't know if I don't think they're going to be tied or related. I think that's going to be completely separate. For the Robin and Batman, if I had to make a guess, I think DC probably wanted to do something with it's Venditti, right? That's writing.
No,
Robin
it's
and
Jeff Lemire.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Dustin Nguyen.
I think pretty much they wanted to be able to tap Lemire and Dustin Nguyen to do something and kind of approach them and said, hey, what are you interested in doing? And they pitched an idea and DC said yes. They're going to kind of go with whatever they want to do because they're considered top talent within the industry. I feel like whatever Williamson is doing will be completely separate. But I would imagine that there are plenty of people that kind of hype him up as like, hey, he's earned a shot. So, and I would agree. I think he has earned his shot to kind of take the reins with Batman and see what he can do.
As far as the guys that are there that are still company men, Joshua Williamson's likely the most accomplished.
Yeah. He's very much like a guy that's kind of like, just played the company man and done what's been asked of him for years and years now. And for the
doesn't
most part,
exactly go out for the spotlight.
No,
that's probably a good deal.
Yeah, he keeps himself pretty humble. And then if you've ever seen Williamson at cons, he's very passionate about comics in general and excited about comics. Like he loves these characters, he loves this universe, and I know he's got champions in his corner. He's got big names like Scott Snyder that back him and push him. So there's definitely people probably saying to the higher ups at DC like, hey, we back this, or even like kind of push him as like, maybe you should turn to this guy. Because I know when they were looking for someone to take over Batman from King, Tynion was not the first pick, and it was other writers that kind of pushed like, well, what about James? What about James? What about James? And that's what gave James the opportunity. So I'm sure there was probably a little bit of that on the backside in the offices at DC.
I'm just putting it out there. If, seeing this image, my hope is that it's Dick Grayson and Damian Wayne together again, but it's gotta be Bruce and Damian, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be Bruce. I mean, knowing that Bruce, he mentions that he's continuing Bruce's story in one of the tweets, and we know that Bruce Wayne Batman will be leaving Gotham after Fear State. And this story is taking place outside of Gotham. He is back in that yellow oval, Batman, what was it? Ink, I think it was the Batman Ink costume. So you might see some
very
ties
interesting.
There. Yeah,
very
I feel like that
stuff.
may have been a purposeful choice.
Absolutely. So very exciting stuff. We had speculated about the most likely creators, John Ridley, Mariko Tabaki, perhaps Tom Taylor, whose star is rising at DC Comics. Joshua Williamson was squarely in the conversation, just as far as his place at DC Comics, and he's associated with the brand, so he is the one that's getting the gig. Could be temporary, could be for the long term. We don't know that yet. We are moving towards a crisis event. Maybe he's gonna get Batman to that point, and then they'll kind of rediscuss and reevaluate what they're going to go. But Joshua Williamson, very talented writer. Currently, his Robin series is the best thing going on at DC Comics, in my opinion. So not the worst choice in the history of the world, and he's certainly done great things with the character. Josh, I'll let you. You're not Josh Williamson. You're Josh McConnell.
That's correct.
I'll let you have the last word on this. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, I would say if you want to expect anything from this book, I would say kind of expect a traditional story and expect it to be actually fun, because that seems like that's one of Josh Williamson's things, is that he likes to incorporate a dose of fun energy into his stories. And he isn't afraid to take it some darker places if he needs to, if you read his Batman Superman run. So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll just have to wait and see what gets delivered.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.